Have Schiller's predictions of market irrationality tended to come true?
Well, certainly they have in the case of the housing market. He was one of the few economists who warned of a bubble in housing. Of course, everyone ignored him, expecting prices to go up forever. He also warned us about the tech bubble and crash, but again, he was mostly ignored. I don't know, David, maybe we'll pay attention to him next time now that he's won the Nobel Prize.
There's actually a long history of financial markets ignoring the warnings of our learned Nobel laureates. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer, thank you very much.
Get Marketplace's top headlines, podcasts, and special features delivered right to your inbox each day. Subscribe to the Midday Update newsletter at marketplace.org.
The open enrollment period for Medicare begins tomorrow. We know Medicare is the federal health insurance system for older Americans and people with disabilities. And Tuesday, tomorrow, people in the system can change their health or drug coverage plans with no penalty. But add the newly unveiled health insurance exchanges to the mix, and there will be bound to be extra confusion about where to sign up for what and when. Sally Herships has more.
Express Scripts, a pharmacy benefits management company, polled seniors about Medicare enrollment. It found 20% think they can sign up for insurance through one of those new healthcare exchanges, but they can't.
To be fair, Medicare options were confusing to begin with, and this only adds to the confusion.
Amanda Stark teaches healthcare management at Wharton. She says, we know when seniors enroll Medicare, they can be overwhelmed by all the choices like Medigap and Medicare Advantage. The more choices they have, the longer they spend trying to make decisions and the more they can end up paying. Many of the new healthcare exchanges can add to the problem because seniors may think they have even more options to choose from.
So to the extent that consumers end up in plans that cost more because they're confused, the federal government is actually on the hook for some of that bill.
Which really means the taxpayers. So, just to be clear, Medicare is for seniors 65 and older. The new exchanges are for everyone else. I'm Sally Herships for Marketplace.
And before we go, here's a number. A new Associated Press poll finds that half of older Americans say they're stuck delaying their retirement because they don't have enough money. Slumping 401k values in the last 5 years are a big part of this. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Midday Update from APM, American Public Media.
Default looms.
We are on an unsustainable debt path.
As government shutdown drags on.
Americans are rightly looking at Congress and saying, what are you guys doing?
Texas downpour.
Looked out the window in my car. Was underwater.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. It's day 14 of the partial government shutdown, and the country is 3 days from a possible default. CBS's Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill with the latest on the talks and the turmoil.
As he left the Capitol Sunday evening, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid said he was growing more optimistic after speaking by phone with his Republican counterpart, Mitch McConnell.
Our discussions were substantive, and we'll continue those discussions.
McConnell was not as upbeat. In a statement, he endorsed an entirely different proposal to reopen the government and raise the debt ceiling from Maine Republican Susan Collins. He said her plan has the support of Democrat and Republican senators.
The CBS News political director, John Dickerson.
As Democrats are in this negotiation and are being accused of moving the goalposts, the worry here is that they are overplaying their hand. They're feeling very good about the way the polls are looking, that Republicans are on the defensive. But if in this last round it looks like Democrats are being too greedy, that could put some pressure on Harry Reid.
Some states are stepping in with their own money to run federal parks. Cheers from rafters on the Colorado River.
It's the best river trip in the world. We're thrilled that Arizona decided to open their parks and that we can go.
And that includes the Grand Canyon. In New York City, Lady Liberty is open again.
People come here, they enjoy the city, they come here to see the Statue of Liberty. It means a lot to us, and we want it open, and we'll keep it open.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, not so lucky, a visitor to the still closed Cabrillo National Monument in San Diego.
It's still amazing to think that they can close this thing that belongs to the public.
The debt ceiling deadline is just 3 days away, as we've said. What would a default mean for all of us? We're live with CBS's Vicki Barker.
The old, the poor, and the sick could fare worst and first. As early as Friday, delays of a few days could start hitting Social Security, food stamps, unemployment, and Medicare and Medicaid. On November 1st, experts say veterans' benefits and pay for active duty troops are also due. Then delays could stretch to nearly 2 weeks. And after that, one model has unemployment hitting 10% and the economy plunging into recession. But the experts say a prolonged default could be far worse. Steve?
With the debt ceiling and budget showdown in play, this could be a roller coaster week for the financial markets. S&P futures this morning point to a lower opening. They're down 12.5 points. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
If there is the appearance of a stalemate, a deadlock, or things turn south in a hurry, I think that we could see broad-based selling in both stock and bond markets, and certainly volatility will increase. The gyrations could be pretty big.
For retirees, people on Social Security, early estimates indicate a 1.5% benefit increase in January. Dean Baker, the co-director of the Center for Economic Policy Research, says it's mostly because consumer prices have not gone up much this year.
You have a lot of people on Social Security who are literally living month to month. For about 70% of seniors, it's over half their income. So it's very important for most seniors, and getting a small COLA is bad news for them.
The projected cost of living adjustment works out to about an extra $17 a month. Official word on this has been delayed by the partial government shutdown. Well, now to Austin, Texas, where some places got 12 inches of rain in a 12-hour period yesterday. Flash flooding prompted some water rescues. Resident Susan McElhaney says creeks rose fast.
Whenever it's had this much rain, you can't know what to expect from it. So it's not safe to be in.
Higher beef prices are possible after the huge cattle losses last week in the snow in South Dakota. CBS's Carter Evans.
The dead cattle littering the South Dakota prairie are victims of last week's freak fall blizzard. Tens of thousands were killed. Rancher Monty Williams.
A lot of guys losing everything, cows, calves, you name it.
Many of the dead animals were found huddled in groups, others buried in snowbanks along a 100-mile swath of the storm's path.
And to make matters worse, ranchers can't turn to a federal program designed to help. It expired in the Farm Bill, and the partial government shutdown has it up in the air. An explosion shut down a terminal at Los Angeles International Airport for a while last night. It turned out to be a plastic bottle containing dry ice in an employee bathroom. No one was hurt. The FBI is investigating. Some cities are spending anti-terror money in ways that have people asking new questions about privacy. Here's CBS's Barry Bagnato.
Big Brother concerns are rising as more cities gather, analyze, and synthesize data brought together from diverse surveillance sources to find patterns. Oakland, California's controversial crime prevention domain awareness center should be operational next year. Seattle, New York, Chicago, Durham, North Carolina, among a growing number of cities using so-called big data to predict crime, often funded with federal money. A new report by Wanted Analytics says more than 88,000 jobs last month required big data analysis skills.
3 Americans have won the Nobel Prize in Economics: Eugene Fama, Lars Peter Hansen, and Robert Schiller for their analysis of asset prices. Overseas, in Syria, 6 Red Cross workers and a volunteer have been abducted by gunmen. In London, police have released a computer-generated image of a new suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. The 6-year-old British girl vanished in Portugal 6 years ago. 72-year-old Gene Penaflor of San Francisco was found over the weekend. He'd been lost for almost 3 weeks in California's Mendocino National Forest, where he'd been hunting. Son Jeremy says he was able to live off the land.
He ate squirrels, whichever he can catch. He ate lizards. He ate a couple of frogs. He ate snakes, and survival mode kicked in.
Penaflor covered himself in leaves at night to stay warm. He's in good condition. In the water off Miami, the Coast Guard rescued 30 people after their 45-foot boat capsized yesterday. Why that boat started taking on water is not clear. Well, Game 2 looked a lot like Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Detroit pitching, baffling Red Sox hitters in Boston. The Tigers built a 5-0 lead and led 5-1 in the 8th when Boston slugger David Ortiz came to the plate with the bases loaded on Red Sox radio.
Swinging a high deep drive into right field. That one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied.
The Red Sox won the game with a run in the 9th. The series is tied at a game apiece. The Cardinals, up 2-0 on the Dodgers, resume the NL Series tonight. Pro football stadiums are loud places. In Kansas City yesterday, a sellout crowd went for a record.
Fans at Arrowhead Stadium for the game between the Kansas City Chiefs and Oakland Raiders were on a mission, trying to set a new Guinness World Record for the loudest outdoor sports stadium. The most recent record was set just last month at CenturyLink Field in Seattle when the Seahawks took on the 49ers. That was 136.6 decibels. Guinness Book officials were on hand when the crowd in Kansas City took it to 137.5 decibels. That's roughly as loud as a jet engine. Will Sterrett for CBS News, Kansas City.
The Chiefs beat the Raiders and are one of two remaining unbeaten teams. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says he believes the owner of the Washington Redskins is way down the road, considering whether his team should change its nickname. Dan Snyder has said before he would not change the name. And that's the World News Roundup for Monday. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
That Will Sterrett, I know him. I trained him at Crest. Oh, my gosh. That was back in 97, 98, thereabouts. I knew he was working at CBS Radio, or at least doing some work for him. Way to go, Will. Keep it up, man. It's nice to know that I had a small part in your career. That makes me feel really good. Kind of like a teacher, knowing that a student has done well. If you missed it, I'll play his outro one more time. I think it's right about there. Okay. Here we go.
Roughly as loud as a jet engine. Will Sterrett for CBS News, Kansas City.
The Chiefs beat the Raiders.
All right. Well, on with the program at hand. See, you can tell I didn't listen to this program or much of the program ahead of time. It's all live, folks. It's all live. Just like that blooper right there. Okay. Coming up in a few minutes, I'll have what's popular on Twitter, song of the day, as well as what's on TV tonight. Right now, though, it's time for News of the Weird. So let me find the intro real quick, and we'll be well underway. I'll tell you what, while we're looking for the intro for that, I'll tell you about this. Let me switch voices. Hi, friends. Joe Haffner here. Are you interested in buying, selling, trading, or renting a house? Or maybe you're in the market for buying or selling a car, or perhaps selling or giving away clothes, furniture, or electronics. Well, I can help you out. Just email me, Joe, at Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. That's Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. Email me today with your item and or items, and together we'll come up with a creative way to buy, sell, trade, or rent any reasonable item or service that you want. Keep in mind, though, I don't deal with the exchange of firearms, alcohol items, drugs, or anything illegal or immoral. So send me an email today at Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. It's time now for News of the Weird on this Monday, now afternoon. And here we go. Church offers drive-through prayer service. Seems that a Massachusetts Lutheran church is offering drive-through prayer service in an attempt to connect with busy residents. Drivers can pull up, and church volunteers take their name and the type of prayer they need. The volunteers then pray with them. In its first day, 18 cars stopped in for prayers, and one asked for directions how to get out of there. I made that last part up. The Christ Lutheran Church in Scituate, Massachusetts, not sure how you pronounce that, well, is offering the service on a trial basis. How appropriate. To see if the service, or let's try that again. This church is offering the service on a trial basis to see if it is successful, and I wish them the best of luck in that endeavor. Now, let's find out what's popular on the old tweeter. That reminds me of a story my mom told me about the last time she saw one of my great-grandmothers. I believe it was my great-grandmother Jacobs or Hartford, or maybe even Ralston. I can't remember which. But anyway, there was a funeral home in Unionville, Missouri, where she grew up. And they have a window on the west side of the funeral home. I don't know if it's a funeral home anymore. I think it's a furniture store now. But anyway, back then, of course, it's a farming community. And a lot of farmers didn't have time to go home and change clothes after chores and stuff, but still wanted to pay their respects to loved ones and to friends and so forth. Well, she says the last memory she has of one of my great-grandmothers seeing her body was at this drive-through funeral home window. And this was back in the late 50s, early 60s. So, anyway, that story just came to mind as I was reading this one. It's time now to find out what's